create less work for yourself and make sure that like you're using AI to its full advantage to enable you and to help you.
Hey everyone, Pooja here. I'm a senior developer advocate here at Postman, and we are at PostCon 2025. I'm here with a really special guest, my colleague Talia Kohan, who is also a developer advocate, and today we're going to be talking about all things developer productivity. All right, hey Talia, how's it going?
Hi Pooja, thanks for having me. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah.
Pooja and I are on the same team, so this is really great.
Yeah, super excited to have Talia.
Best team, Deborah.
Best team, Deborah. So super excited to have Talia join us. And Talia, you've worked at a lot of companies. You've been a developer yourself. Developer productivity is a big deal. So what do you think is the core of developer productivity? What makes developers productive?
I think there's a few things. So aligning on processes, like what's the process for how you work? And also aligning on like the tools that you use. I've worked at companies where like, product uses Jira, but the developers use Asana, and, everyone uses something different for like task management, and it just kind of becomes a headache. So alignment on tools and processes, I think, is so important. And that kind of is the foundation for good collaboration because everyone's using the same things. There's a lot of visibility across tools. And I think that's like super important.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of tool usage when developers, sometimes there can be a lot of tool overhead, but this is why I really like Postman, because I feel like there's a lot of really interesting features that are in one platform. And I wanted to get to know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw the keynote this morning where they were talking about all of the new integrations coming into Postman, and there were so many that everyone's jaw was like kind of on the floor because it makes such a big difference. Like, for example, the GitHub one where you can make changes. It's kind of a two-way thing where you can make changes in Postman and it gets reflected in GitHub, and then you make changes in GitHub and it's reflected in Postman. So it's like, it doesn't matter where you make the changes. You're always going to be up to date, which is incredible. Like, your version control is there and you don't really have to do anything extra. It's just kind of like in Postman. So that integration, I think, is going to be huge for developer productivity. And then also the Slack integration, where after you make changes, those changes are then sent in a message to Slack. So like if you have, product and, marketing and all of your business stakeholders in that Slack channel, they can see what the developers are building and what's going on without necessarily having to leave Slack because, everyone is on Slack like all the time.
And I know that we're moving away from certain productivity tools versus others, but I wanted to get to know, what are some of your favorite developer productivity tools?
My favorites are Slack and Jira, definitely. And I like Jira because it really has the developer first mindset, same way that Postman does, where like the people who build Postman, the people who build Jira really have a developer first mindset. I think that's what makes the best tools, the best products, because you're building for the end user. They're building for developers and for the people who are going to be using these tools. So I think that's really important.
So one of my favorite things about Postman is its collaboration story. And so I think what makes developers really productive within Postman is their ability to work in teams and also work on assets that they can sort of integrate and collaborate on together. I think that's a really great feature. It's kind of like the Google Drive of APIs in a way, and that's what we do with some of the team workspaces within Postman. So with your experience working with developers, how do you feel like that whole process, what does that look like for developers, and what do you think slows developers down?
Yeah, I think what Postman does that's great is it kind of takes into account like the end-to-end life cycle of a developer. So like if there's let's say like there's a new company, new startup, new APIs, like a lot of times it'll be like one developer who's kind of like doing everything until like the team grows. And then so you go from like writing like one endpoint at a time to now you're writing collections. And then maybe after you have some collections, now you have like different workspaces. So then you kind of grow from team to team. Maybe you have different workspaces. They just announced ecosystems. Maybe you grow from that to ecosystem. So what I like about Postman is as your company and as your team evolves, you don't have to like leave the platform. You can stay in the same platform and just kind of use whatever like niche you need. And then as you integrate, as you build with these tools that we talked about, Jira, GitHub, those are integrated into Postman already. So like your developer productivity is going to grow from that too. So I like the end-to-end growth that you have with Postman, not really having to like leave to go to like other places. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you could give our developers some piece of advice when it comes to productivity and using tools, what is some advice you'd give them?
Work smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
It means if you're using GitHub, for example, like use it with Postman, use it inside of Postman. You don't need to like go outside. If you're making changes, you can make sure that those are updated through Slack. Like create less work for yourself and make sure that like you're using AI to its full advantage to enable you and to help you.
Yeah. And speaking of AI, because we are in the agentic era, where do you see AI playing a role when it comes to dev productivity?
I think it's going to complement developer productivity. I think there's so much excitement around like AI and what agents can do and how it's going to affect like developers. And I think it's one of the tools that developers have, but we're still learning how to use it. Mm-hmm. And so something that gets me really excited about building AI apps is that AI agents execute tasks through APIs. And where do all of our APIs live? Postman. Mm-hmm. So with this new functionality that we released called tool calling or function calling, mm-hmm. You can take your agents, have them execute different tasks and use the APIs that you already have in Postman to execute those tasks. So it's kind of full circle. Like you build the APIs, then you have the AI agents do whatever they have to do using those APIs that you already built. So that's what I love about Postman AI.
All right. So why did the API break up with the front end?
Why?
You know, because it was getting ghosted and it wasn't getting any more responses.
Oh.
Sad. That's why it broke up. 404 not found.
This is what developer advocates talk about on their free time.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Pooja, is it Postman or Postman?
It's Postwoman. All right. Well, thank you so much, Talia. This has been a wonderful conversation. I'm hoping that our developers can get a deeper insight into some of the tools that you can use, some of the integrations maybe they're not aware of, like the Slack, the GitHub integrations, the Jira integrations, and build better, faster, interesting APIs.